Hello, everyone. This is Kendall Askins from Stimulating Minds. Askins stimulates on all of our social media platforms, joining you for another day with another Rethinking Math. And today I want to talk to you guys about grading. Okay, so this is like a big topic in education, and I think even with families, a lot of us utilize that grade and look at the grade as a reflection almost of the child, right? And what I mean by that is I know that a lot of people look at grades, and like when children have high grades, they're like, oh, the child is really smart, right? Or if children have low grades, we look at the child as maybe a struggling learner. And today I'm really challenging that idea because what a lot of people who are not in education may not realize is that grades are very subjective, meaning based off of the school, right? Based off of what things make up the grade. Like when I was in the classroom, I want to say like maybe 70% of my grade, the grade for the class was tests and quizzes, right? And some people might be like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. But what it did was it allowed the grade to be a true representation of the knowledge the child had of the content, right? And what I mean by that is a lot of times, you might have grades where the teacher might make 50% of the grade classwork, right? Or homework. You would have things like homework, participation, classwork. If these are the things that are making up the bulk of your grade, then really it's a fluffed grade, right? We want grades that represent the knowledge that children have of the subject. And so that brings me to the second point about grading is that instead of looking at it as like a child might be smart or a struggling learner, the way that grades are set up right now, because it's so subjective, it doesn't really tell much about the child other than like, do they follow directions, right? Like if they're doing assignments and they're turning in those assignments, they're getting 100 for that grade, right? Classwork. Are you doing your classwork? Do you do your homework? A lot of times teachers are checking that off and they're not really grading for accuracy, or in other words, they're not grading to see if children really understand. When you use the test as majority of the grade, you get a better reflection. But because we tie that to if the student is a good student or not, there's a lot of anxiety around tests. Children get really nervous and all of that. Where if we start to look at grades as a reflection of mastery, right? And just like, did I understand this topic or not? You would have a different energy around it. So like I used to tell my students all the time, a test is just information, right? It's me giving you these questions or questions where you're going to utilize the skills that I've taught you on your own so that we can see if what I taught you, you truly understand, or if there are areas where you still need to do work. And because I shifted students' mindsets in this manner, they were not panicking on the test. Normal jitters is fine, but they weren't like thinking that this test was tied to something bigger than what it was. They were honestly just like, okay, we're going to do our best. And my students ended up doing really well, right? And when they would get a test score back that they knew was lower than maybe what they wanted, there were supports in place where we would go over the material, review it, and make sure that they could develop mastery of that material. And so it's really important that we understand what grades should represent, but that we also look at that and realize that in the United States, like every classroom, even from school to school, every classroom, that grading is going to be different, right? And so it's really important that we have some type of equitable practice, but more so, I think the bigger thing is that we shift the mindset around what grades should be representing. Right now, they kind of represent how well you follow direction. They really should represent how well you've mastered the material. And when we shift our mindset to that, then we are preparing children to understand that, okay, when I'm learning something, I need to assess how much I've actually learned it, how much I can do on my own, how much I actually understand it. And once I assess that, I'll see, do I have a high level of understanding, right? Is the grade high? Or do I have a low level of understanding and I actually still need more time with the subject? And so as we begin to look at tests and assessments in that manner, then we can know what supports needs to be put in place to make sure that the student, the child, or whatever can have success, right? And so I want to have this discussion with you today. Have you ever looked at grades in this manner, right? Is this something new for you? Let's hear your comments below. Like, subscribe, share out this video if you think it would be helpful. And let's begin to rethink math and how we engage with it. I am going to be running a math after school program come September. Stimulating Minds is going to be doing this. We're aiming to do this in schools, community organizations, but we're also going to just do it for the community. So if you are interested in this, if you are a school, a principal, superintendent, teacher, and you want to bring this to your school, please make sure you reach out. And if you are a parent and you just want your child to be a part of this, please also reach out because we're going to make space and it's going to be amazing. Have an amazing day, and I will see you back here next week for more fun. Bye.